Hey, I was thinking about emotional intelligence. I look really interesting with this light in the way that it is. Look kind of creepy, wicked. Not wicked as in I look wicked. Anyways, I can assure you, still just peace, love, and harmony, perspective sharing, and that's all. Emotional intelligence. What does it mean? I mean, are you emotionally intelligent? How can you be emotionally intelligent? What's the meaning behind the statement, first of all, right? It's being aware of your emotions. So, how do you become aware of your emotions? By feeling them, by understanding them, by seeing them, by learning how to navigate them. How do you do that? It's pretty simple. It's something that can be forgotten. It's a thing that you have to consciously remind yourself to do. And the reason for that is because when your emotions get enhanced and you become emotionally charged, you fall into the ego and the perspective of the individual being in that body that you are being right now, and you forget your power when you can step out of that perspective. The reason we forget to do this is because when we fall into that perspective, if we was aware at the time, we wouldn't have fell into the perspective. So we've fallen out of awareness, right? So when you have emotional intelligence, you know how to navigate your emotions so they no longer pull you out of the observer's perspective, the awareness of the being that you're currently being. So you become aware of your emotions and you allow them to teach you by holding space for them. When you hold space for them, what does that mean? It means if you feel sad and it's uncomfortable, right? Instead of sitting with the discomfort and feeling it and crying or getting angry or frustrated and then thinking, why am I getting angry or frustrated, or why am I crying? And then realizing it was because someone said something horrible to you, so you was offended or you was upset, or you was hurt. You then say, okay, but does their opinion really matter? Or you say, okay, why did this affect me? Does their opinion matter? Then you say, yes, it matters. Why does it matter? Because it made me feel like this. But why did it make me feel like this? Because I believe it about myself. Why would I believe this about myself? And normally you get to that point and you're like, because this person said it, or because this situation happened. And if it's because this person said it, it's like, okay, does that person's opinion really matter to you that much? And if it does, then you got to navigate how to make their opinion not matter that much. And if it's because you was offended by it and you believe it yourself, then why do you believe that about yourself? And find a way to change the perspective. It starts with the mind. It goes to the emotions. The emotions is like the expression of the energies, like resonance, right? So obviously when we have emotions, the body is producing the chemicals that give us the emotions that we feel, but there's a reason that that happens. The reason that that happens, from what I've understood so far, is whatever you believe, you perceive. Whatever you perceive, you experience. How do you experience in this world? Through the sensations, through the senses. You have sight, smell, sound, and taste, and you also have physical touch, but you also have an emotional sense, right? You sense it through emotion. Is that something on my face? I think it was. You sense it through emotions. So if you're sensing it through emotions, those emotions are an expression of something too. And it's the resonance, the frequency, the vibration that your being is resonating in. The way that you perceive the world is the way you experience the world. If you're frustrated with a situation, you will feel frustration. Yeah, if you have that same situation, or let's just say somebody else is in that same situation, and instead of looking at it with frustration, they like have acceptance and they have the patience. Do they feel frustration, or do they feel at peace with what's happening? The way you see the world, the way you perceive the world, is the way you experience the world. It's the mind. The mind starts the process, the energy expresses the process, and the body experiences the process. If you're in the perspective of the body, you lost control of the mind. If you lost control of the mind, the energy runs wild with it, and the body experiences that, whatever you want to define it as. It can be emotions, it can be overthinking, it can be discomfort, it can be dis-ease, it can be anything, right? So point is, I don't even remember what the point was, but I'm just going to keep going with the flow because I don't know where I'm going. The flow will know. So when we express ourselves, we are showing the truth of the resonance that we are in, the frequencies that we are experiencing through and from. If we react angry, we have anger somewhere, or frustration that makes us retaliate with anger. If we feel like the world is happening to us, like everything is going wrong, that's normally the victim perspective. That's a mindset thing. That's a loop that you go in the mind and you see everything from a perspective of, this is happening to me. This is why when people say it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. The problem is people don't really go into the explanation of it, right? So when it's happening to you, example is, you come out your house and, or you ain't got a house, right? Go even there, you ain't got a house, you have nowhere to live, and that's a problem, right? In general, it's an issue, of course it is. I'm not saying that's easy, but you ain't got somewhere to live. You got options, right? And I don't mean you can do something different externally. I mean you have options in how you perceive it. Are you perceiving it as, damn, I'm homeless, I have nowhere to go, I have nothing, all of this stuff? If you are, what's happening? I haven't got this, I don't know how to sort this out, I don't know this, I don't know that, what should I do? That's like the perspective of someone in distress. If someone's in distress, that means they're a victim, right? So then you can flip the perspective and say, hey, okay, look, I don't have somewhere to stay, warm, maybe not even safe. Let's see if I can find somewhere safe. Okay, cool, I found somewhere safe. It might not be a house, it might be a tent somewhere, or it might be somewhere that is like there's no protection, nothing. But if you lay yourself there and you perceive it as, I'm glad that at least I have somewhere to sleep, I'm comfortable here. It's not how I would prefer it, but I'm at peace with what it is. I trust the process. I know I'm not going to be here forever. Now, I'm not saying that this is easy. What I'm saying is, if you know how to navigate yourself with nothing, you don't need anything. That means you can have everything and anything, or nothing at all. And your state of being and the way you experience the world and go through the world will be consistently in the state of being you choose to perceive the world from. And that perception can be through whichever lenses that you want. It's normally just that we have so many things from our past we haven't dealt with, that those are the lenses we see the world from. which is why it ends up happening to us, or because of somebody else, or because of ourselves, because we're not good enough. It's just lenses, guys. It's not real. It's real to you. It's real being in it. It's a real experience and it's a real thing. But what I'm saying when I say it's not real is you don't have to live there forever. You just go through a process of stepping out of it, and once you step out of it, you start to step back into it. But with they say confirmation, apparently, when people burp in readings. When you go back into it, right, you're going back into it with a deeper state of being, a higher level of awareness, a higher perception of experience, a higher level of consciousness. It doesn't mean you're better or evolved past into some magical realms and spiritual powers. It means you can perceive a bigger picture of the world because your perception has opened up to perceiving more of the puzzle pieces of life. It would be wonderful to really connect with people who perceive the world in a way that's similar to this, because it really brings clarity to how to walk through life, in my opinion, rather than it being mystical and abstract where you don't really know how to apply what you're applying. It makes it seem like this really difficult, hard to attain experience when it's really simple. Every text that's ever been made to connect with a god or whatever, right? Spirits or guides or anything. What's the first step that they always suggest? Go inwards. Be still. Be present. What happens in stillness? What if there's nothing? What's the first thing that can exist in absence? If you're a conscious awareness, what is the first thing that can exist in the absence of everything? Awareness. So they're all leading you to stillness, to develop your awareness. But the whole explanation is not there to say the awareness of self on all aspects. Your mind, your body, your emotions. And you also have a nervous system, or a sheath, I think people were saying. I don't know what it is. I just feel it. This is the thing. I don't know the things I'm telling you by reading books. I've not read any of the religious texts. I've not read anything. Right? All I know is what I feel, and what I experience, and what I articulate is the way that I've understood what I've understood through my own experiences with my energy self, my energy body, my mind, my conscious self, my awareness that navigates through all of the aspects of myself. And then you have to learn to develop your awareness of awareness. So you become the awareness, the observer of this being. When you develop that, and then you go back into the world, you start exploring the world in a really deep, meaningful way, because you're so aware of self that the being that you're experiencing through actually tells you what feels aligned for them. So you can choose with your free will to navigate the world in a way that leads you back to more of you. And if you're connecting more deeply with yourself, and the magnetism of your being is resonating with that, is expressing and putting that out there, you come into contact with the other individuals. Oh, it's not on my face. It's just like you come into contact with the other individuals that resonate with that frequency. This is what I've come to understand. And I know there's got to be people out there. So this is another reason that I share as well, because I really like to talk about this stuff, and I would really appreciate other people's opinions and perspectives. And I also find it very beneficial for how I've gone through my life. So maybe it resonates with people, maybe it helps people navigate their own stuff in their own way. Maybe it doesn't. But either way, me just talking about it is something I'll be doing on my own. And I feel like sharing it because it feels aligned with me. So I don't actually need reasons to, right? But there are also reasons too that the ego has its reasons. But to follow your truth, to follow God, to follow your guides, to follow your heart space, to follow your intuition, to follow your chi, to follow the Holy Spirit, whatever perspective you want to say it from, right? They're all talking about something we can feel inside. It's not something outside of us that we can feel. It's something inside of us that we can feel. So if we can all feel it inside of us, why are we not going inwards to connect with it more rather than outwards to read a book on somebody else's perspective or somebody else's experiences and not look inwards too? Because the point is to go inwards, understand yourself, and then look outwards and see how others resonate with what you've experienced, but also have your own understanding of it, because that is your relationship with you, not with me. You're not doing this to connect to something outside of you. You're doing this to connect with you. The more you connect inwards, the more inwards you go, the more outwards you know, because everything is made from the same stuff. And that's not even why. It doesn't even matter. It's because you develop your awareness so much that when you observe externally, you perceive more of the puzzle, like I said. So it comes across like a superpower. Like you can read people's energy, and maybe you can. I mean, I can feel the energy. I know people can read the energy. I can read people, but I don't know if it's their energy or their body language. But I don't really care, because I can understand what I need to understand, and I can express what I choose to express. I might not be perfect at the way I articulate myself, but I'm learning to be more conscious of that. I'm learning to be more intentional with that. And this is why praying and energy healing and healing from afar works, because when you make an intention consciously, you generate that possibility, because your conscious awareness is the same source of the conscious awareness that created every single layer of existence. That's what free will is. Free will is the capability to perceive anything you choose to. You can think anything in existence. You can make whatever you want in existence in your mind. That's the first stage of manifesting that expression. But I don't agree with manifesting. For me, you're only supposed to go into your resonance and live in harmony with your truth, because you might be able to manifest all the money in the world. But all that money in the world's not going to make you feel as good as you feel living your truth, even if you have no money. And this is why people who have a lot of money are unhappy too. Some people are not unhappy. Some people are so happy living from the material, they haven't even realized there's something deeper than the material. Most people are not even in love. Most people are in trauma bonds, attachments, because they haven't dealt with stuff from their past. Doesn't even need to be childhood. It's normally childhood. Why is it normally childhood? Here's another point. Because as a child, we weren't taught to process emotions. If we have an energy body, and that is an expression of the experiences that we've had, if it's the things that we've experienced with our eyes, which goes to our conscious mind, which is a memory now, that memory has a frequency. If we've never sat with that memory and allowed the emotions from that memory to process, those emotions are still there. So that's why it's always to childhood, because the childhood, we weren't taught that. The thing is, a lot of people grow up and still don't know how to process their emotions, so they continue in these loops. And it gets worse and worse, because every time something new happens that resonates with that frequency, it builds a momentum to make that experience more impactful, more present, more enhanced, more experienced, more energy, more resonance, more oscillation, more momentum. To break the momentum of thought loops, you learn to think things that don't end in the negative. If it goes into a negative, finish it on a positive. And then when you finish it on a positive, stop. You don't need to talk about it anymore. It's so simple. Just when you start thinking negatively, realize it in the process, end it with a positive, on a positive, and boom, you're breaking down the momentum of your negative thought patterns. Eventually, your thought patterns become neutral, and then you build momentum for the positive ones. And you actually experience this process step by step, because you can see how your mind changes. You can see how your thoughts change because you're aware of it now. You're consciously living now. When you consciously live, that means you're choosing how you live. When you're choosing how you live and you know what feels aligned for you, you're choosing to be more meaningful and intentional with your time. When you're being more meaningful and intentional with your time, life becomes more meaningful for you. The relationships you have become more intentional, meaning you're more present in them. Okay, doesn't mean they're going to be more present with you, but it does mean you're going to learn more about yourself in each relationship, because you're going to see the things that bother you about how people behave, and you're going to think about it. Why does this bother me? Why am I getting knocked out of my balance? Because of how this person's behaving, because of what they said. Does their opinion matter to me that much that I should lose the balance with myself? No, not for me anyway. If you want to do that, you can go for it, but I see that as giving away your power. I don't see that as them draining you, even though you feel drained, right? When people do stuff like that, you feel drained. It feels like you need to get away and build yourself back up. Okay, let's translate that a little bit, just a little bit, right? When you're there with someone that knocks you out of alignment with yourself, even if you're not fully aligned with yourself, to the degree that you are aligned within yourself, the peace that you can have and experience within yourself, the stability of yourself that you know, right? When someone knocks you out of that by making you frustrated or angry, or you judge them, frustration, even if they make you, like, if you feel like you're in love with them, even that, right? When you get excited, these are not all bad things, but guess what? None of them are actually you. I mean, they are you, but they're not you. What I mean by this is everything we experience here is an expression of who and what we are individually, and then outside of us is collectively the expression of who we are, right? So we are all a manifestation of the original creation from the creator's perspective. But on an individual term, you and I are just expressions of our individual frequency. We had an intention in this life. Our destiny is to be in line with the frequency that creates us, and when we follow that design, we end up in the life that feels most aligned for us. It doesn't mean you're rich or famous or something amazing and magnificent, like spectacular, really big happens in your life. It just means that the frequency inside of you, the way that you perceive the world, is coming from a place of beauty within. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's in the eye of the beholder. The one who sees beauty feels beauty. The one who sees love feels love. The one who sees war sees war. The one who sees hate sees hate. The one who sees judgment feels judgment. Because what we show outwards is what we do inwards. So it doesn't matter how much you want to portray yourself to be someone. Someone who can see you will know you. Now, I'm not saying this for any negative reason. I'm saying this to bring to your awareness that just because you don't choose to be aware of you, it doesn't mean you're hidden. So you might as well choose to be your truth. So the truth seekers and the truth seers can see you for who you are, and I promise you they're going to love your authenticity no matter what it looks like, because truth feels real. Anyways, I think I shared enough. Had a nice little, but yeah, people, go inwards. We haven't even spoken about the energy side of things. Forget the energy side of things. That stuff comes a little later. But when you go inwards, going inwards with awareness, I suggest you develop being conscious of the present moment first. Then secondly, start learning how to navigate the mind and bring it out of the negatives and finish it on the positives. And then when that gets easier, then you can start looking at going into the emotions and the, suppressed stuff, and then the feeling the energy as your guide for the rest of your life. That stuff, no one ever watches my videos really, I don't think. So if it gets to a point, or if someone just asks me, what do you mean by energy, and going through it that way, because I know there's people that know, but I'm pretty sure there's many people that have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. There's going to be people that think I'm nuts. There's going to be people that think, oh, this is interesting. What the hell is he talking about? And there's going to be people that's like, yeah, I wonder how much they're trying to charge. Nothing. I cannot charge for a gift. So if anyone's interested about the energy side of things, we'll get into it at some point. But for now, develop the awareness of the present moment and put the awareness of the present moment on everything you walk through in life. Use the present moment as a form of meditation. When you sit to eat, eat consciously. Before you even get the food, do you actually want to eat that food? Are you actually hungry? Does your body really want the thing you're about to eat? And if it all aligns, get your food, sit down to eat. When you sit down to eat, be aware of moving your hand, stabbing the food with a fork, or picking it up with your fingers, probably better, so you can feel the textures of the food. Put it in your mouth, feel the flavors, taste the flavors, feel the textures. When you swallow, observe how it goes down into your body. Just be as aware of every little thing as you can. Why? Not because you need to go and be aware of everything all the time, because as you do this consciously, you're developing the awareness of being present with not just the moment, but with experience. Not just inwards, but externally, outwards too. And what you do is you make it become more second nature to go through life in a more aware state of being, which is why you experience it more fully, more wholly, and why it becomes more meaningful. You get deeper into the energy aspect of yourself, which is what starts to guide you later in the journey. So just focus on the simple stuff now, and don't even worry so much about meditating right now. If you haven't done these first two things, there's no point. There is a point. That's not true. There's a point, right? But you're not going to go through that part of the process in the most efficient way, because the mind distracts you from that to some degree. It also doesn't. When you can connect to it, and it shuts the mind off. But you need to develop your awareness of that from beginning stages again. Awareness goes up, and everything has its own section of awareness. You have to learn. Practice makes perfect. Each thing you place your intentional awareness on starts from the bottom and builds up. The beautiful thing is, as you build it, it goes up. If you stop, it stays there. It never goes back down. It always stays at the same place until you're ready to come back to it, and then it goes up again. So, yeah, that's it. That's all I'm sharing. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say, people. But if you sat here and you listened, I appreciate it. Thank you for being here with me. And I trust that you are well and aligned, especially if you're here listening to this, because the intention is for the people on the journey at any point of the journey, because this information can be used from beginning to, I can't say end because there's no end, but from beginning to understanding, I guess.